Hey guys, it's Sarah with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we have a review and install of the Barricade HD Rear Bumper fitting your 19 and newer Chevy Silverado 1500s. This is perfect for the Silverado owner who's looking for a beefier option for a rear bumper and wants one with black aftermarket styling that sets you up to add lighting down the road. This full-width rear bumper features rugged off-road style and added protection, as well as retaining a lot of your factory features, including the helpful corner steps. It's compatible with your factory sensors as well as your hitch and trailer plug, and it also includes brackets for the addition of lighting down the road. This bumper features steel plate construction with a textured black powder coat finish. So as far as price goes, this bumper comes in at around middle of the road price-wise when compared to other options. And for your money, you are getting a full-width steel rear bumper with black styling that retains all of your factory features and also sets you up for lighting down the road. And as far as the install goes, I'm giving this one a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. It does feature a direct bolt-up installation that can be done within 2 hours. So with that said, let's jump into our install. For this install, you will need an impact gun or a ratchet will work just fine, 18 and 10 millimeter wrenches, a pop clip removal tool, 21, 19, 18, 13, and 7 millimeter sockets, a Phillips head screwdriver or Phillips head bit, the included Allen key, and you may also want a swivel extension. Alright, so the first step in our uninstall, you do have to remove your license plate because there are 2 bolts behind it. So grab a Phillips or flathead screwdriver or however your license plate is mounted to the bumper and we'll get it removed. Alright, we're just using a flathead bit here. You can use a Phillips head bit or you can just use some hand tools. Alright, next up now you can see the 2 bolts that we have to remove. Grab a 13 millimeter socket and remove these. Alright, so we do need to unplug any connectors that would prevent the bumper from coming off. Our truck has 2 right here behind the license plate. We're going to start with these. Press down on this red tab, or you can use a small flathead as long as you're careful. Then you press down on the black tab and disconnect it. Next up, disconnect the black harness, press down on the tab, and pull to remove. Alright, next up you need to remove each of these clips that hold the wiring harness to the bumper. Grab a pop clip removal tool and remove them. Just above that is the plug for a hitch connector. Pull back on the gray tab, press down on the black tab, and wiggle it loose. Next up, we have to disconnect this last harness and connector. Pull back on the red tab, press down on the black tab, and pull it loose. All right, next up, we're gonna remove these 2 nuts. They are 18s, so grab an 18 millimeter socket and a ratchet or an impact gun if it'll fit. Go ahead and take them off. All right, moving on to the other side. Now remember, if you are underneath the bumper to support it, grab your 18 millimeter socket and remove these nuts. Finally, there are these bumper support bars. We do need to remove this 13 millimeter bolt out of them so we can remove the bumper. Grab your 13 millimeter socket and let's get this out. Make sure you do that on the other side as well. All right, with all the bolts removed, you can grab your bumper and pull it off of the truck. It's not terribly heavy, but you might want a friend just to help you wiggle it off. All right, so before we install our new bumper, we do have to transfer over some things from our previous bumper. We're gonna start with the lock for the spare tire. Now to get this out, you just press down to remove your key out of your fob. Once you have the key free, go ahead and insert it in the lock, twist, and remove. Next up, we're gonna move on to the trailer plug. This has 2 metal clips on the back side. So either squeeze by hand or use a flathead or a similar tool. Press down on the metal clips. And once you release each side, the plug should come loose. Next up, we're going to remove this center plastic piece. Now we're just using a pair of needle nose pliers to press down on each of these clips. You can use a flathead if you like, but I think the needle nose gets both tabs at the same time. Releases it a little easier. Next up, we're going to remove this bolt so that we can remove the license plate lights. So what we're going to do is grab a 7mm socket and a ratchet and go ahead and get these removed. Now once the bolt is out, you can pull it away and slide this tab out. And once this is removed, we're now going to grab a pop clip removal tool and remove all of the pop clips holding it onto the bumper. Moving right along. Now you can cut these if you don't want to remove them. However, you don't want to risk damaging the wiring harness. And these will still be on here if we ever need to reinstall them or install them in our new bumper. All right, there's one more next to the license plate light itself. Now grab your 7mm socket again. Let's get this bolt out. Now again, lift and remove it so we don't break this tab here. All right, so before we can get our bumper installed, we do need to prep it a bit and install some of the factory components. We're gonna start on the front face of the bumper here and install these license plate bolt retainers. Just go ahead and line them up and press them into place. Just one on each side. Next up, we're gonna go with the plug for your trailer. Just press it into place. Next up, install the lock for your spare tire. Press it into place, twist your key, and pull it out. And finally, the bracket that goes behind your license plate should have 3 tabs. Just press them in. All right, so at this point, if your truck is equipped with corner sensors for cross traffic, you would install those here. Since ours does not, we're installing this plate. What we have are 4 Allen head bolts here. They're gonna go in the front of this plate. And on the back side, we're gonna install a washer, lock washer, and nut. Repeat that for the rest of your bolts, installing a washer, lock washer, and nut. Now with the included Allen key and a 10mm wrench, we're going to tighten these down. And repeat that process on the other side. Don't forget to install your washer, lock washer, and nut on the other side. And grab a 10mm wrench and the included Allen key, and we're going to tighten them down. Also at this point, if you have sensors in your bumper, install those now. If not, we're going to install these rubber plugs right in place of the sensors. Slide the plugs in with a tab on each side and press them into place. Repeat that with the remainder of your plugs. All right, at this point, you're gonna install the factory license plate lights. These are labeled, so make sure you're grabbing the proper side. We are on the right side. it'll be tilted towards you a bit as well. Line it up with the tab and the top there. There should be an opening on the bottom. Using the included hardware that has the washer and lock washer pre-installed, thread it in, make sure that top tab doesn't slide out as you're doing it. Grab the included Allen key and tighten it down. Repeat that on the other side with your other license plate light. And make sure your harness is up and secured out of the way. And before we can get this installed on the truck, the last thing we're gonna do is install the hardware through the bumper. Using the larger bolts and also a washer, grab a clear plastic washer and thread it on the front side to hold it in place. Repeat that on the bottom mounting point. And repeat that on the other side. Don't forget the plastic retainer, which should hold this bolt in place enough for you to get it installed. All right, now that we have our factory bumper uninstalled from our truck, we can check it out side by side with our new bumper here. And as you can see, this one features a much beefier construction than our factory. This one features steel plate construction where the factory is mostly plastic. In addition, it also features a nice textured black powder coat finish to really give your truck that aftermarket look. Now it does allow you to keep a ton of your factory features such as your trailer hitch, your trailer plug, license plate lights, all of your sensors, and even the helpful corner steps, while it adds some nice new features like brackets to add some lighting down the road. So with that said, let's finish up our install. All right, so at this point you can grab your bumper and get it lined up. You may want a friend for this step just to help with lining it up. Once you slid the bolts through the frame of your truck, grab a washer and a lock nut and thread it on. Make sure you're installing a washer and also the lock nut on the hardware once you get it installed on the truck. And with an 18mm wrench and a 19mm socket, tighten it down. Repeat that process on the top bolt as well. And you may want a swivel extension just to be able to get a better angle on the nut. Go ahead and grab your 18mm wrench and 19mm socket to tighten it down. Repeat that on the other side. With your 18mm wrench and 19mm socket, tighten it down. Plug in your license plate lights. And don't forget to plug in your trailer plug on the other side. All right, now remember to plug back in these two connectors behind your license plate. And once those are plugged in, you can line up your license plate and thread in your hardware. Our truck's hardware is a Phillips head, so we're going to grab a Phillips head bit, but a screwdriver will work just fine. Go ahead and tighten it down. All right, so that is going to do it for the review and install of this bumper. And remember, for all things Silverado, keep it at AmericanTrucks.com.